जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today is Friday. It is 3rd of October. It is Ashwini Masa, Padmanabha Masa, Shukla Paksham, and Ekadasi Tithi. So today is Pashan Kusha Ekadasi. And fasting from grains, beans, and cereals, and all kinds of grain items. And also the seeded, complete seeds, which cannot be digested easily. So that also need to be avoided. We can take the pulp of the fruits. For example, the pomegranate, the seeds can be avoided, one can take the pulp. Okay, so these are kind of few instructions on Ekadasi. Okay, I shall read Pashan Kush Ekadasi Vrata. It comes from Sri Brahmavaivata Mahapurana. Can I request Saranya Mataji to read this katha, please?
Hare Krishna. The glories of Pashankusha Ekadashi, which occurs during the waxing moon in the month of September or October, is described in Brahma Vaivarta Purana in the conversation between Lord Krishna and Maharaja Yudhishthira. Maharaja Yudhishthira said, "O Madhusudana, what is the name of the Ekadashi that occurs during the waxing moon of the month of September or October? Please be kind and explain this to me." Lord Krishna replied, "O best of the kings, the name of this Ekadashi is Pashangusha Ekadashi. Now please hear from me the glories of this Ekadashi, which destroys all one's sins." Some people also call this Ekadashi as Pashangusha Ekadashi. One should especially worship Lord Padmanabha on this day, on the day of this Ekadashi. This Ekadashi awards a person the heavenly pleasures, liberation, and his desired results. Just by chanting the holy names of Lord Vishnu, one can attain all the piety of visiting all the holy places on the earth. If a conditioned soul, in spite of indulging in various sinful activities due to illusion, takes shelter and offers obeisances at the lotus feet of Lord Hari, who is expert in delivering the fallen souls, then such a person does not have to go to hell. Those, Vai- those Vaishnavas who criticize Lord Shiva and those Shivites who criticize Lord Vishnu are both undoubtedly go to hell. The result one obtains by performing 1000 horse sacrifices or by performing 100 Rajasuya sacrifice cannot be equal to the one-sixth portion of the piety one obtains by following this Ekadashi. There is no piety in this world which is equal to the piety earned by observing the Ekadashi. Therefore, there is no other days as sanctified as this day of Ekadashi, which is very dear to Lord Padmanabha. O king, as soon as a person fails to observe Ekadashis, the sins begin to reside in his body. This Ekadashi awards its followers the heavenly pleasure, liberation, freed from diseased condition, beautiful woman, wealth, and food grains. O maintainer of the earth, if one observes this Ekadashi and remains awake on the night, easily goes to the abode of Lord Vishnu. Lord Krishna continued, "O best of the kings, by observing the vow of this Ekadashi, one can deliver 10 generations from his mother's family, 10 generations from his father's family, and 10 generations from his wife's family. If if a person observes this Ekadashi, either in his childhood or youthhood or in his old age, he does not suffer the miseries of of the material existence. One who strictly observes this Pashangusha or pa- Pabankusha Ekadashi, then all his sinful reactions are eradicated, and at the end of his life, he returns to the abode of Lord Vishnu. If a person gives away gold, sesame, seeds, land, cow, food grains, water, umbrella, and or shoes in charity, then such a person does not have to go to the abode of Yamaraj. Anyone worth any, anyone who spends his day without engaging in pious activities, he is like a dead man, although he is breathing. His breathing is compared to the bell. compared to the bellows of the blacksmith. O best of the kings, a person who digs well and lays for the benefit of others, donates land and houses, and performs other pious activities, such as performing sacrifices, is not subjected to the punishment of Yamaraja. As a result of piety only, people live long lives, become rich, takes birth in high class families, and become diseaseless. The purport is that the direct result of observing Ekadashi is to attain devotional service to Krishna, and the direct result is to attain the temporary material benefits. And indirect result is to obtain the temporary material benefits. Hare Krishna. Ashankusha Ekadashi ki jai.
Jai. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, that is from the event's perspective. So we shall move into our daily Srimad Bhagavatam. ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Hare Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Maitreya Muni, so he has been speaking to Vidura about the Virata Rupa form, and then so starting from the Pradhana, and then Prakriti, and then Mahatattva, and then where Ahankara is manifested in three material modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, and from the goodness, mind and the demigods were manifested, and from mode of passion, all the senses, Jnanendriyas and Karanendriyas, those 10 senses got generated, and the from mode of ignorance, the Tanmatras and Panchbhutas got manifested, and gradually, but they were not amalgamated together. But later on, by the influence of Lord glance of the Lord Supreme Personality of Godhead, so who is separate from all of this. So by his glance and the time factor also, his form, one of his form, that is Kala Rupa. So that is uh, by amalgamation of the glands and then the time and all these ingredients, actually the universal egg got manifested, and then it stayed for 1,000 celestial years, and then it was not active yet, and then again Lord has entered into it, and then after that Lord Virat Rupa who got manifested, his form got manifested from his bodily limbs. So different demigods are taking shelter of different functions. And then so that living entities who are all part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or gigantic Virat Rupa, so they were able to do so many functions like the smelling and seeing and tasting like that. So that functions got manifested, and different deities were taking those functions, in charge of those functions. Likewise, Brahma, Vishnu, and also Shiva and Chandrama for the subtle elements, mind, intelligence, ego, and the uh, consciousness is the Mahatattva for that one. And and for the legs, it is the Vishnu was the preceding deity, that for the function, the movement of the living entities. So after that, different Varnashrama Dharma functions got manifested. From the face, the Vedic knowledge, Brahmanas took shelter of it. And from the arms, the strength of protection, that is, Kshatriyas took the shelter of those functions. And then Vaishyas, the way of livelihood, that is means of livelihood. So they have taken, that is kind of business. Vaishyas took that function. And later on, Sudras, they are the servitors for the top three classes. They have taken that particular function. And by carrying out those functions, all the Varnashrama Dharma people can elevate themselves to the highest perfection of human life by pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. ये वर्णाः स्वधर्मेण यजन्ति स्वगुरुं हरिं श्रद्धयात्म विशुद्ध्यर्थं यज्जाताः सहवृत्तिभिः. So by take under the bona fide spiritual master's guidance, so Shraddhayatma, who is faithful in love and devotion, Vishuddhyadham, to purify himself, Vishuddhyadham, not for any other purpose, Vishuddhyadham, Yad Jataha Sahavrittibihi, and whatever the functions were manifested, take that function according to your constitutional position and make your life perfect. Okay, in such a way Maitreya Muni mentioned, and then further he is mentioning the Lord's activities and his gigantic form. It is very difficult to conceive. It is very difficult to conceive. So, which is like it contains so many things, but likewise, just describing wonderfully how big it is. It is manifested by his internal potential. Okay, likewise, Maitreya Muni mentioning, speaking to Vidura, we are in the Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, chapter 6, and verse number 35. एतच्चत्तः भगवतो दैवकर्मात्मरूपिणः कश्रद्धज्य कश्रद्धध्यात् उपाकर्तुं योगमाया बलोदयम् एतच्चत्तः भगवतो, and this Virata Rupa form, Etat, and Virata Rupa form along with all the functions and demigods and everything else. Etat Chattaha, O Vidura, Bhagavataha, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is, even though here it is manifested as Virat Rupa, but still that means of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That means he is separately also existing in the Goloka Eva Nivasati Akilatma Bhutam. He is already in the Goloka. At the same time, his expansions are also one of the expansion, Virat Rupa coming into this material world. Etat Bhagavato Daiva Karmatma Rupinaha, of the gigantic form of the transcendental work, time, and nature. This is the Virat Rupa form, of gigantic form of transcendental work, time, and nature. Kashraddhajat, who else Shraddhajat can aspire Upakatum, the measuring totality of this gigantic Virata form. So Yogamaya Bhalodayam. Yogamaya by the internal potency, Balodayam, manifested by the strength of. So that Virata form, it is difficult to conceive. So this is Achintya. Swecha avatar charitehi Achintya Nija Mayaya. So they are all performed based on internal potency of the Lord. It's very difficult to conceive for ourselves, for materially embodied people. So likewise, Maitreya Muni mentioning, Etat Chattah Bhagavato Daiva Karmatma Rupinaha Kashrddhajyad Upakartum Yogamaya Balodayam. The translation, O Vidura, who can estimate or measure the transcendental time, work, and potency of the gigantic form manifested by the internal potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Okay, purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, can I request Saranya Mataji, would you like to read the purport as well, please?
Hare Krishna. The froggish philosophers may go on with their mental speculations on the subject matter of the Virat, the gigantic form exhibited by the Yogamaya internal potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but factually no one can measure such a vast exhibition. In Bhagavad Gita 11.16, Arjuna, the recognized devotee of Lord says, Aneka Bahudara Vagrita Netram Pashyami Tvam Sarvado Anandarupam Nandam na madhyam na punastabadhim Pashyami Vishveshwara Vishwarupa. O my Lord, O gigantic Vishwarupa form, O Master of the universe, I see innumerable hands, bodies, mouths, and eyes in all directions, and they are all unlimited. I cannot find the end of this manifestation, nor do I see the middle nor the beginning. Bhagavad Gita was specifically spoken to Arjuna, and Vishwarupa was exhibited before him at his request. He was awarded the specific eyes to see this Vishwarupa. Yet, although he was able to see the Lord's innumerable hands and mouths, he was unable to see him completely. Since Arjuna was unable to estimate the length and breadth of the potency of the Lord, who else would be able to do so? One may only indulge in miscalculation like the frog philosopher. The frog philosopher wanted to estimate the length and breadth of the Pacific Ocean by his experience of a well 3 cubic feet large, and thus he began to puff himself up to become as big as Pacific Oceans, but at last he burst and died by this process. This story is applicable to the mental speculators who, under the illusion of the Lord's external energy, indulge in estimating the length and breadth of the Supreme Lord. The best path is to become a cool headed, submissive devotee of the Lord. Try to hear about the Lord from the bona fide spiritual master and thus serve the Lord in transcendental loving service as suggested in the previous verse. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Thank you, Mataji. Here, Prabhupada is describing about the inconceivable form of the Lord. This is gigantic universal form, and also how the people, mental speculators, philosophers, they speculate about different ways. Muni means speculator. One Muni may speculate one particular concept, another Muni may be different. So there is always differences in the speculators. Otherwise, he cannot be called Muni. So Prabhupada was describing in one of the purports and also in the lectures. So here, froggish philosophers may go on with their mental speculations on the subject matter of the Virata, the gigantic form exhibited by Yogamaya, internal potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But factually, no one can measure such a vast exhibition. For example, if we just think a small ant is on our body, that ant cannot see our body completely at all. It is our direct experience. If ant thinks that if it is in the body, on some part of the skin of the body, and if the ant says this is only the part I can see, well, this is the hair, a little bit, which is a gigantic tree, I can see it. There are so many trees and that in this forest. Actually, it is a body of the human, but ant is on the body of the human. Similarly, in our head, there are so many headlights. It is a big, gigantic form of a big forest for the headlights, but they cannot conceive the complete form of human body. We are also part and parcel of Garbhodak Sai Vishnu, and also this gigantic universal form of the Lord. So it is not possible for us to conceive how big the Lord is. It is unimaginable. Okay, so this is again with an example here, Prabhupada is bringing Bhagavad Gita statement, how Arjuna has recognized, who is a recognized devotee of the Lord. He says, Aneka Bahudara Bhaktanetram Pasyami Tvam Sarvato Ananta Rupam Nantam Namadhyam Na Punah Nah Punastavadim Pasyami Vishweshwara Vishwarupa. Pasyami Vishweshwara Vishwarupa. Oh, my dear Lord, I am seeing Pasyami Vishweshwara Vishwarupa, O Lord of the universe, and O gigantic Vishwarupa form. I am seeing what I am seeing? Aneka Bahudara Vaktaranetram, so many the tummies and Vaktras, the faces, and so many eyes. Pasyami Tvam Sarvato Ananta Rupam. It is unlimited form. Sarvato Ananta Rup. It is spread all over the universe. Nantam na madhyam na punastavadim. There is no ending, no middle, no adi. Punastavadim. There is no beginning, no end, no middle. So likewise, namadhyam also. He also mentioned there is no middle also. He cannot perceive. Even the Arjuna has got divine eyes by the time. And what to speak of the people of the materialized. Okay, this is the Vishwarupa form. It is Achincha, inconceivable form. And these forms are Swech Sa Icha Avatara Charitaihi. Achincha Nijmaya. Nijamaya. In Nijamaya is the internal potency of the Lord, which is not material. Achincha Nijmaya. It is called the Yogamaya Shakti. And also, Yogamaya is the Daivi Prakriti. Okay, so this is oh my Lord, gigantic Vishwarupa form, O Master of the universe. I see innumerable hands, bodies, mouth, and eyes in all directions. They're all unlimited. I cannot find the end of this manifestation, nor do I see the middle nor the beginning. So whenever yogi is meditating, Dhruva was just advised by Narada Muni, one has to meditate on such kind of uh, the divine pastimes of the Lord. Swechavatar Charitaihi Achincha Nijamaya. Karishati Uttama Shloka Tad Jhayad Pradayangam. One has to meditate all his pastimes, how it is meditating, how great he is. And people know the God is great, but they don't know the dimension of how great he is. That comes from only Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, these authorized scriptures. Okay, okay, that Prabhupada is mentioning, and it is Bhagavad Gita was specifically spoken to Arjuna, and Vishwarupa was exhibited before him at his request. He was awarded the specific eyes to see the Vishwarupa, yet he was able to see the Lord's innumerable hands and mouths, and was unable to see him completely. Since Arjuna was unable to estimate the length and breadth of the potency of the Lord, who else could be able to do it? Kashraddhadjhadupakattum. Here Maitreya Muni also mentioning Kashraddhadjhadupakattum. Who else can understand? Who can estimate the potencies of the Lord? And here Prabhupada also mentions, who else would be able to do it? So one may only indulge in miscalculation like the frog philosopher. Again, it is a good analogy. So the frog is just making to estimate the size of the Pacific Ocean and just making itself began to puff himself, but at the end, it was burst by that process. Okay, but any munis, any man, um, Vayo Manuso Vayo Manuratena Muni Pungavanam. There is a Sopyasti yet Prabhinisim. There is one particular shloka comes from the Brahma Samhita that mental speculators, even though they keep on going for millions of years, they cannot understand the glories of the Lord. That comes from the Brahma Samhita. Okay, and further Prabhupada is mentioning about the stories that is. And the best path is to become cool-headed, submissive devotee of the Lord. Try to hear about the Lord from the bona fide spiritual master and thus serve the Lord in transcendent loving service as suggested in the previous verse. So here, a gigantic form, it is not that much easy to worship that Lord. That's why Lord manifest himself in the form of a deity so that we can easily go to the temple and Mad Darshana Sparsha Puja Suti Abhivandanaihi Bhuteshu Madbhavanaya Satven Asangamena Cha. We can go to the temple and some touch the deity. If it is not possible for everyone to touch, then we bring the deity into our home in a small form, and then we bathe the Lord, we touch the Lord, and then do so many dressings and offering flowers. This is how we do it. This is Lord giving this devotional service that comes from 3rd canto, 29th chapter. How one has to take, but that is one has to carry on that activity as long as he is purified and he see the Lord everywhere. And after that, he is a apasyat sarva bhutani bhagavatyapich atmani. Atmanam sarvabhuteshu bhagvantam avastitam. So he's saying in such a way he sees the Lord everywhere. In all the living entities, he sees the Lord. All the living entities situated in the Lord. Lord is also in his heart. Okay, it comes like a circles again come back to his self. Lord is not somewhere else. He is always with him in his heart. Okay, so that it is yet until that point the deity worship is needed. That one also mentioned in the 29th chapter of Srimad 3rd canto. And then by that one, Aham Sarveshu Bhuteshu Bhutatma Asitah Sada Tam Avadhyaya Mam Matyaha Kurti Archa Vidampanam. Even if one is worshipping the Lord deity form, if he is not seeing living entities situated in the Lord and the Lord also situated in their hearts, then he's simply imitating that process. Kurite accha vidambhanam. So just I was posting this particular shloka yesterday. And also one more thing, he also, Kapil Bhagavan describes, Yo mam sarveshu bhuteshu santam atmanam ishwaram hitva archam bhajte maudhyat bhasmani eva juhoti saha. This is pouring oblations in the ashes. That is no use. If you put the ghee oblations in the fire, in the sacrificial fire, it will blaze nicely. It is perfectly utilized. If I just put it in the ashes, it is useless. When you do not see the Lord in everywhere in all the living entities, in the heart of all the living entities, and you are simply engaging in the deities in the home, then it is the mentioned like the Bhasmaniyo Juhoti Saha. Juhoti, it is like a oblations. Basmani is the ashes. You are pouring that ghee into the ashes. It is no use. So that is one has to acquire that. It is also mentioned like the Visuddhyadham, Shraddhayatma Visuddhyadham to purify himself. That deity worship and every devotional process is only for his personal purificatory things. मद्धर्मणो गुणैरेतैः परशं शुद्धासयः पुरुषस्य अंजसाभ्येति श्रुतमात्र himam. Shridamatra Gunam Himam. Just he will, once he is purified, just by hearing the glories of the Lord, he is attracted towards the Lord. Yata Ganga Ambasu Ambudau, Manogatiravichinna Yata Ganga Ambasu Ambudau, Madhuna Shuti Matrena Mai Sarvu Guhasaye, Manogatiravichinna Yata Ganga Ambasu Ambudau. So because once he is purified, it automatically, naturally, he attracts towards the Lord. That is the natural conscious position of a living entity. Like a Ganga river flows into the ocean naturally, in the similar way, a devotee also manogatire avichinna, without any cessation, he is attracted towards the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay, that is the transcendental living service of the Lord. That can be practiced in the home as well and in the devotees association under the bona fide spiritual master. So that is, he also mentioned that yajanti swagurum harim. Okay, so that is likewise Maitreya Muni describing about the inconceivable form of the Virata Rupa. एतत् चत्रः भगवतो दैवकर्मात्मरूपिणः कश्रद्धध्यात् उपाकर्तुं योगमाया बलोदयम्. Okay, that is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam. Jai. Shall move to Srila Prabhupada's daily letter. So today, letter to Bali Madhana, November 24th, 1970, Bombay. Okay, can I request any unallocated devotee to read this letter, please?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. May I read?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Okay, yes. My dear Bali Mardans, please accept my blessings. I beg to acknowledge receipt of your two letters. Oh, sorry. Two letters dated November 9th and 11th, 1970. You had mentioned going next to Singapore from Hong Kong. Singapore is also a nice place for organizing center. There are many Indians and they will support the movement there. Yes, the several cities you mentioned are all important cities in the Far East portion. Originally, they all had Indian culture, but I do not think you should spend your time at this stage of life in trying to learn so many different local languages.
That is not practical for us. Our most successful program is to begin preaching with the help of an interpreter from the local people and later train up some intelligent men who speak English. When they are conversant with our philosophy, they can preach of the general public. The Hare Krishna mantra is international mantra. Simply try to induce people to chant and they will understand everything. Externally, English language is understood everywhere. Your enthusiasm for starting centers for educating the people of the world in this sublime Krishna consciousness process is very good. You are actually authorized agent of my Guru Maharaj, and through him, Lord Chaitanya, he predicted that in every town and village of the world, his name will be in, in name will be known, and you are trying for fulfilling his mission. Certainly, he will give you all strength and blessing. We simply have to work sincerely, and automatically all of the things will come. Recently, one very responsible Indian gentleman was in our temple in Sydney, and he has given very good certificate for our activities there. Regarding staying in the various temple of demigods, that is quite alright, but you should not take prasadam from the demigods if you are offered. Our method is to follow the system as it is done in Jagannath Puri. There the bhoga is first offered to Lord Jagannath and then his prasadam is distributed and offered to various demigods who reside in some nearby temples. Then the remnants of such prasadam may be taken by us. So far our temple place is concerned, even there is no place we can sit down underneath a tree and chant, as I did in New York. Krishna will give a nice place. You have been anxious to stick to fulfilling the desire of Krishna and spiritual master without deviation. Our technique is that we work sincerely and the dedication will come from within. Krishna is seated there. Hope this will meet you in good health. Your ever well wisher is Bhaktivedanta Swami. Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai. Thank you, Mataji. Any takeaway points, Mataji?
There is a lot, Prabhu, but yeah, it's Prabhupada, that Palimadana wants to learn the different languages, but that main purpose is the preaching the Krishna consciousness, and then that the languages Prabhupada says is not important in this age to learn. So main thing is preaching the Krishna consciousness, and then when you go in the different country, obviously then the language problem. But the Prabhupada said English is language understood by everywhere. So just try to preach the Krishna consciousness, and then Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is international. So yeah, like Prabhupada is said chant by everybody, and then they can understand. And that other thing was that takeaway Prabhu is like Hare Krishna, that Lord Chaitanya's mission, like they said uh, Krishna consciousness, and then the telling the Prabhupada is telling mentioning about the offering and taking the prasadam. So first we have to offer the Krishna and then demigods and then take the prasad. That was I could understand Prabhu. So yes, and that Krishna gave us a good place when Prabhupada said when he goes to America, then he has to sit underneath the tree. But the Krishna will definitely give you that good place. And now we can see everywhere that we have good Krishna's temple, Hare Krishna temple, and then movement is going very nicely. So yes, Prabhu, that's the takeaway. Then Prabhu, you can elaborate a little bit more.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nicely reflected. Any other comments, dear devotees? Okay, so it is from Srila Prabhupada's letter. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction is that in every town and village of this world, his name will be well known, and you are trying to fulfill his mission. This Gauranga name, it will be Nityananda Gauranga. Those names will be spread throughout the world. Okay, what we need to do, simply engage ourselves in our devotional service. And once spreading Krishna consciousness, just give English speaking people in the local region. So we do not have to struggle to learn English. Our language is not a barrier at all. Okay, that is few things, but only the essential ingredient is the enthusiasm to spread and faithful servant of the spiritual master. And about the prasadam, again, this is again second time we are seeing. Of course, there we have seen, at least we might have gone through thousands of letters, more, not thousands, but more than 1,000. We have seen many of these places. This is first we need to offer to prasadam, bhoga to the Lord, then it will become prasadam, and then the prasadam be given to the demigods, and then we eat it. And here, one of the about the prasadam, it is mentioned glorifying the prasadam. A person who is eating every day the prasadam, there is no better person than in this world who is eating prasadam. It is mentioned in the scriptures, in the specifically in the Brahmavata Purana, I think. He always works and he always eats only the prasadam. There is no other better person, fortunate person than him. Okay, that is one point to just to bring out. So that prasadam is given to everyone. We offer it to the forefathers as well during the Pitrupaksha Tarpana period, and everyone and all the living entities, Balim, all other living entities as well. Okay, so when again coming to another point about the place, we are not concerned about the place. Whatever the place the Lord gives, we take it and continue. But main thing is chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. इच्छाद्वेषविहीनेन सर्वत्र समचेतसा भगवद्भक्त्युक्तेन प्राप्ता bhagavati gatihi. One of the statements by Maitri Rishi about Kardama Prajapati. After he leaves home and then he goes in a free will wherever he goes, just chanting and glorifying the Lord. Svecha Avatara Charitaihi. Okay, so that is how Krishna conscious devotees, they always keep the Lord in the heart, and wherever they go, they will make that place sanctified, and it makes the place of pilgrimage for everyone else. Okay, so technique is that we work sincerely, and the dictation will come from within the heart. Krishna is seated there. Okay, that is from my reflection as well. Thank you, Mataji. That is from Srila Prabhupada's letter. Jayavad Mataji.
May I ask a very quick question? I don't want to take too much time. With regards to other temples, other demigods and offering prasad there, because more often we are invited somewhere else and then there is prasadam there as well. And we don't want to be disrespectful there if we say, I don't want to eat this prasad. So how do we manage that then, please? Because sometimes, some people might have kathas in some other temples, or which is not ISKCON, and for whatever, some derasa, whatever, wherever. Sometimes the people invite us, so we go there and we have to eat. So what do we do?
I think in the previous letters, Prabhupada mentioned that if they offer prasadam, we do not eat it. Prabhupada clearly said in the previous letters.
Yes, he did. I remember it just a few days ago. This came then as well. But when we are out and when we are with our family members who have invited us, it feels a bit, I don't know, unless we offer it in our mind, or I don't know.
So here the food, it is based on the sanctity. So they do with the different consciousness. But if there is no other option, what we do, because it is already offered to someone, some demigod, we may not offer to the Lord again. But in the mind, we may think of the Lord and then consume it. But make sure that it does not have any unwanted ingredients in it.
Oh, yes. In the temples, mostly they don't put onion and garlic. Anyway, it's only somebody's houses. But yeah, then I don't eat anyway. But yeah, it's mostly about temples. I was asking. Yeah, thank you so much.
It is just based on our consciousness as well. So if we keep the Lord in our, we don't want to do it physically and mentally, but by the condition of the family circumstances, some things may be a little bit acceptable, because until we come to the platform that everyone understands our position and we know what we are doing, at that time we can strongly say that I do not eat it. But when we are in the progressing time, just still adjusting with the family members and we are still getting adjusted, then it is okay in the beginning stages. But later on, gradually, we avoid that one.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Any other points, devotees? Okay, so if there are no further reflections, and from the announcement point of view, so today evening, Friday, we don't have any events from our Sangha perspective. And tomorrow morning, we continue our Bhagavatam and then Shri Brahma Samhita. Tomorrow evening is our evening session, Saturday regular session. Okay, that's all from that is Chaitanya Charitamrita, but there are no guest speakers yet confirmed. I requested Ram Lalla Prabhuji to speak something. I have not received any response yet, and have not reached it to Krishna Keshav Prabhuji, because I do not know the circumstances whether he would be able to speak or is right time to approach him to speak something to our Sangha. I have not approached him because his mother passed away, and so I did not reach him. Maybe there are many devotees going through different obstacles, but anyway, we keep all of them in our prayers, and then we'll continue our Sangha in the evening. That is from updates point of view. And the devotees, if you have got any updates or you wanted to share anything on Krishna consciousness, kindly share. And also Mataji is mentioned like that with the Damodarastakam, it is starting from the Purnami, the Sharad Purnami on the 6th of October from Monday. So that 6 days vacant still. Gauringi Mataji, would you like to sing Damodarastakam on Sunday, Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Morning time or evening?
Morning time, morning 7 o'clock sharply.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay, so that is we start Damodarastakam with you from Monday onwards, and then devotees are allocated for other days.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji.
I just wanted to mention Tuesday, it's Meena Mataji still. Wednesday, I don't know. But yes.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah, thank you, Mataji. So we will allocate someone on Wednesday. Okay, okay, that is from updates point of view. If there are no further updates, then we shall conclude and continue with further japa.
सर्वस्य कृपादेव पतितं पावने वैष्णव नमो नमः।
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय।
जय।
और की